Do you know why all this ice is melting? 3 words: man-made global warming. As once stated by lead researcher and professor of mineralogy at the University of Innsbruck in Austria, mostly humans are responsible for the melting of glaciers. We play such a big role in destroying the ice because of all the past choices we've made that have led up to this current moment of time, where, according to Live Science, over 1 million square miles of ice since the 1970s have been lost due to global warming. National, Geog- National Geographic has also acknowledged that over the past century, the burning of fossil fuels and other human and natural activities has released enormous amounts of heat trapping gases into the atmosphere. These emissions in turn have caused Earth's surface temperature to rise, which then cause the ice to melt.
Currently, global warming is one of the world's biggest environmental issues, and a quick definition of what global warming is a gradual increase in the overall temperature of the Earth's atmosphere, generally attributed to the greenhouse effect caused by increased levels of carbon dioxide and pollutants. This means that humans are a direct cause of global warming, and according to NASA, the planet's average surface temperature has risen about 1.62 degrees Fahrenheit since the late 19th century. This is a big amount to be happening to our whole planet, and we know from statistics like these that climate change is a real issue that's happening. NASA's satellite observations also reveal that the amount of spring snow cover in the northern hemisphere has decreased over the past 5 years, and now snow is melting earlier. This is not good news for polar bears and other Arctic animals that depend on the cold. Climate change and global warming is directly linked to a loss of biodiversity on this planet, and it's only going to get worse if we don't do anything to stop it.
How many times can I do this? The general population may not realize how the melting of the ice caps in the Arctic impacts not only the life on and around the poles, but also the environment as a whole, including our very own homes. The direct impact of the ice caps melting is the loss of habitat for animals native to the Arctic, such as polar bears. As the ice melts away, polar bears are losing frozen ground to live on, which means they have to relocate. However, these relocation options have different features and temperatures than the ice-covered Arctic Circle. Furthermore, if the polar bears are unable to adapt to different conditions, then they face going from the endangered species list to the extinct species list. While the idea of all the polar bears dying may or may not be enough of a shock to make you concerned or change your lifestyle, let's look at a broader scope of all the ice caps melting, perhaps one closer to home for some. Just like the polar bears who have to find new homes as the ice caps continue melting, so will every person who currently lives on any coastline around the world. A less commonly thought about impact of the ice caps melting is the amount of water being added to the oceans and consequently raising the sea level worldwide. Imagine the cities on the coastlines we know today flooding and disappearing forever. As the ice caps are melting, coastal communities could confront an additional 4 inches per decade by the end of the century, according to Bob Berwin of Inside Climate News. If all the ice caps melted, the sea level will change the coastline so drastically that the coastlines we have today disappear and the current coastal cities along with them.
There are many things we can do in our daily life to prevent or better the melting of ice caps. Things small as reducing garbage by choosing reusable products. If it is something that cannot be reused, try to purchase products with minimum packaging. You can recycle paper, plastic, glass, and newspaper. Another daily life thing is saving electricity by turning off the lights, television, or any other electrical device when not in use. These things can build up over time and be beneficial not just for the polar bears, but for you too. These were just some of the small-scale things you can do.
Effectively address the issue at hand, reducing the amount of heat trapping produced by emissions being placed in the atmosphere is crucial. On a large scale, there are many solutions that can and should be implemented in order to reduce emissions and reduce global temperature. These solutions include the use of renewable energy in order to reduce dependency on coal and other fossil fuels, placing limits on the amount of CO2 an individual or establishment is allowed to emit in a given time,
increase the efficiency of vehicles, and improve technologies to reduce the amount of oil used, and reduce tropical rainforest deforestation in order to aid in CO2 absorption. Other possible but more difficult solutions include considering adapting to a plant-rich diet to reduce the amount of methane produced by cattle, and reducing food waste in order to prevent CO2 and methane production when rotting food is thrown away. Squandering produce releases greenhouse gases in every stage, from seeds to watering, energy, land, fertilizer, and even financial capital.
As we learned about in our biology class, the melting of ice caps contributes to a greater feedback loop. And how that works is that one thing happens and then it leads to a cycle that continues to keep going. And the way it works with the ice in particular is that ice creates an effect called albedo, where it reflects the heat and light of the sun back to the sun and doesn't affect the temperature of the planet or does not melt any of the ice. However, as we continue to release greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, which leads to the general temperature rising, the ice melts. And when we lose the ice, we not only lose this albedo effect that reflects sunlight and heat back and prevents the temperature from rising even more. The dark ocean that is now exposed absorbs more heat, which contributes to the whole feedback loop and continues to rise the temperature. So not only do our polar bear friends lose their habitats through the melting of the ice, it also contributes to the rapid decay of the ice through the loss of the albedo effect and increased carbon absorption through the dark ocean being exposed.